receives it as a word from God and chooses to, keyword again, focus on it. She chooses to focus on the promise instead of the problem. And something in her life, this is amazing, immediately begins to change. Let's look at what it is in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 18. And she said, "Let thy handmaiden find grace in your sight." So the woman went her way, did eat, and her countenance was no more what? No more sad. No more sad. Now this is huge. This is huge when you read 1 Samuel chapter 1. Because for all of 1 Samuel chapter 1, for years, this woman has been sad. For years, she's had a husband trying to cheer her up and get her unsad. And all of a sudden, in a moment, she is no more sad. In a moment, she goes from sad to happy. Literally, in the blink of an eye, her whole perspective of life changes, and she goes from being sad to incredibly happy. I got to thinking about this. How amazing is that? That's exactly what I'm trying to do in all of our lives, because I believe we cannot win the outward wars if we're losing the inward ones. I think if we lose the inward ones, eventually we're going to lose the outward ones. It could cost us our marriage. It could cost us God's best. It could cost us promotion on a job. We've got to get control of our emotions. And here this woman went from sad to happy like that. And my question is how? How'd she do it? How'd she do it? And the more I dove into this, you know what we see from Scripture? At this moment in her life, nothing on the outside has changed. In fact, all the struggles that were in her life 5 minutes ago were still in her life. She still had an adversary. She still had the same husband. She still had the same life. She still was not pregnant. She still does not have a child. She still is not decorating the nursery. In the natural, everything has stayed the exact way it was without any improvement in her life. But yet she still is finding herself able to change her emotional state. Why? Focus. In this moment, she changed her focus from a problem to a promise. Emotion follows focus. If you are feeling stressed, have you ever felt stressed before? I have felt stressed. If you are feeling stressed, why are you? You're focused on something that is stressful. If you are feeling afraid, why are you? You're focused on something that could make someone afraid. If you are feeling angry, you are focused on something that would make someone angry. If you're feeling excited, it's because you're focused on something that is exciting. Emotion follows focus. And here's why this is important. Because the only person in your life who can change your focus is you. And it doesn't matter how good friends you have. It doesn't matter how good of a husband you have. It doesn't matter how good of a medication you have. Until focus is changed, emotion never will. We live in a society that is falling. Now, none of you do this, but you probably know people who do. We live in a society that says things like the following. You just make me so mad. Have you ever heard someone say that? Ever heard someone say that? Just on TV, maybe. You probably just on TV. Or, they just irritate me so much. They irritate me so much. Or, it just frustrates me so much. It's just so frustrating. It frustrates me so much. Well, it's making me afraid. It's making me afraid. Here's what I want you to say. No one can make you angry without your permission. Nothing can make you sad without your permission. Nothing can make you afraid without your permission. At any time, you have, according to Scripture, the self-control to choose love anytime you want to choose joy anytime you choose to feel it. To choose peace and to pick it anytime you choose to pick it. A part of the fruit of the Spirit, it ends with self-control, and it's the most important one out of all of them, because if you lack that one and you make other things and other people responsible for controlling the things listed before it, you will never ever walk in them successfully. Your joy is your responsibility, not anyone else's. Your peace is your responsibility, not anyone else's. You can have helpers of your joy, but if you don't choose, and I don't choose to change my focus, I'll never change my emotions. Emotions follow focus. I'll give you an example from my own life. This is hot off the press, happened this morning, hot off the press. I was emotional this morning. I experienced a large range of emotions this morning. Here's what made me emotional. I've got a buddy of mine who is a missionary to Iraq. Like, he lives in Iraq. And we went to Bible school around the same time. I got to know him then and was always just very, very amazed at his faith, his devotion, and the sense of the call of God on his life to the mission field. I never in a million years would have ever thought he would have gone to Iraq out of all the nations in the world. But when he chose to go there, it didn't surprise me in the least. He's married to someone around the same age as my wife, and he has 4 children who live in Iraq with him, who are around the same ages as my 3 children. And what he did there was pretty phenomenal. He went in northern Iraq, where there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, and set up just basically a home and a farm. He grew up in the country here in America, so he knew how to do all those things. Before he went over there, he learned how to speak the language, so did his wife. And they are over there, and basically they just took it upon themselves to show the Iraqi people the goodness of God. They didn't have any contacts over there, didn't know another missionary over there. They just up and moved their family to Iraq. And they're over there with their house and all those things, and they have this farm, and they use the